Okay, so there was this trans woman on TikTok who made a post talking about her transition. Okay, so it was like a slideshow. You know how TikTok you can make those posts where like it's a song playing and it's a bunch of different pictures, right? You can slide through them. Okay, so yeah, the pictures start off, oh, this was me, back before I came to terms with myself. Of course, it's a picture of a dude, right? And gradually this person's like, oh, I started wearing makeup, started getting my hair braided, yada, 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 right? So there was one particular picture and its caption that had me like, huh. Now, first of all, it's important to point out this is a black trans woman, okay? It's not a white one, it's not an Asian one, none of that, right? Okay, so prior to this picture, this person had been wearing like box braids and other braided styles or whatever, right? And then in this picture, this person said, oh, then I started wearing wigs and it just made me feel so much more feminine. Like braids were all right, but wigs just really gave fish. Oh yeah, we got a lot to talk about concerning that because one, you masculinized black hairstyles. Why is a wig more feminine than braids? And then we're gonna get on that fish term too. Now, like I said, the first thing we're going to talk about is that comment about the braids versus the wigs. Because this person was born a man and, is attempting to transition into a woman, So this person is talking about, oh, yeah, I started getting my hair done like a woman. Like I started wearing these braided hairstyles, like something like this. You ain't going to see no guy wearing no hairstyle like this, right? And then this person says, oh, yeah, so finally I started wearing wigs and that just gave so much more fish than braids. Like, and again, we're going to get to that fish comment too. Don't worry, we're going to get to that, right? My thing is this sentiment is not unique to transgender people or transgender women specifically or nothing like that. This is something that is widespread throughout the black community and just the world as a whole. Everything that is associated with blackness is deemed masculine. And in fact, you know what? I'm going to talk about this as it pertains to the transgender community as well, because I'm so nosy. I be in everybody's business so much. I be seeing them talk about this. First, I'm going to talk about black transgender men, okay? So a transgender man is somebody who was born a woman and identifies as a man, right? And I've seen them talking about how, they'll be in like a Facebook group or something with other trans men of all races, white trans men, Asian trans men, whatever, right? And, they'll be in that group talking about how they can present as more masculine, like, oh, how do I bind my chest to make it look like I don't have titties, whatever, because again, they want to be perceived as men, right? So the black trans men complain about the fact that, and this is wild, right? The white and Asian and whatever other trans men will be like, oh, well, you're already masculine. And the black trans men are like, how? But it's literally just based off the fact that they are black. Okay, so because they were born black women, that's automatically perceived as masculine. And it's like, oh, well, you already masculine by default, so you trying to be a trans man, you good. Like, how racist is that? It's the fact that blackness in and of itself is masculinized. You know what I'm saying? So whether it's your dark skin or your braided hairstyle or whatever, if you are black, you are masculinized to some degree, okay, right? And you're masculinized to varying degrees based off how black you are. So like this trans woman noticed, okay, well, you already got dark skin and that's masculinized. So I guess your best bet to present as feminine is to have a straight wig on, because at least that hairstyle isn't masculinized too, right? Like, it's crazy. And when I tell you that blackness is masculinized to the point where it don't make no sense, like there has been a number of times, right? And I don't even think this was just with black trans women. I feel like it's been non-black trans women as well, right? So, we get into some back and forth about whatever. And on a number of occasions, a trans woman has said to me, oh, you just jealous because, like we more feminine than you. Yeah, like we so super duper feminine, yada, yada, yada. And it's like, you have balls. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't mean to be rude. I ain't trying to be transphobic or nothing, but literally you have balls, nigga. What are you saying? Like, you literally have nuts, nigga, and you telling me that you're more feminine than me simply because I'm a black woman and therefore I am masculine by default. That's what the problem is here. Something in me really doubts that trans women will tell white women or Asian women or whoever that trans women are more feminine than them, because white women and Asian women are not masculinized in the way that black women are. So they wouldn't even say that dumb shit to a white woman or Asian woman. But when I tell you they say that shit to black women all the time, so you telling me a grown ass man in a wig is more feminine than me simply because I'm a black woman. Like, does that not boggle your minds? So anyway, back to that fish comment. Okay, so as soon as I seen that term, I was like, oh no, right? So I commented, I was like, I'm so tired of men using the term fish as a way to say that somebody looks like a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't make sense. And I said, how do you want to be a woman but you misogynistic, right? So this person responds like, oh, like it's just queer lingo. Y'all be so butthurt. Like if you don't like it, don't use it, yada yada yada. This is my thing. Play with your penis, ho. Don't play with me, okay? Because I'm not stupid, so you're not finna play in my face, like quite clearly, right? So then I said, like, people with penises stay making fun of women and saying we smell like fish, and then y'all turn around and use this term and act like it's not offensive, right? So then this person responds like, oh, you know, it's not like that. I know plenty of cis girls who use the term fish. Like, if you're not dirty, then you shouldn't be offended, so and so and so. Okay. So let me get y'all hip, because I've been a girl for 27 years. So I know a little something about being a girl. You can learn a little something from me, right? You know, I didn't just wake up when I was 20 and be like, yo, I want to be a girl now. You know, so I could teach you a little something about this girlhood stuff, right? So let me tell you a story, actually. This was back. This had to be 11th grade, because I remember it was history class. I remember the history class that I was in, right? So I remember I was on my period, and back then I used to bleed really heavy on my periods. Okay, like I used to use those big old thick overnight always pads, them big thick ones in the purple package. I used to use those throughout the day, not just overnight. I bled like that. Okay, so normally I could put one of them pads on and it would last me a few hours. Like, you know, I wake up in the morning, take a shower, put a pad on. That would last me till like lunch or something. You know what I'm saying? Then of course I change it, whatever, right? But this day, for some reason, I was just bleeding much heavier than usual. I don't know what my body was going through or what, right? So I realized about second hour that I needed to change my pad, right? Because normally my pad is good throughout second hour, you know, but again, I don't know why I was bleeding so much, right? So I realized I need to change my pad sooner. And guess why I realized that? Because I noticed a smell when I stood up, that fishy smell. So when I realized that, I went to the bathroom, I took care of that, and that was that, right? But that's why now I know that fishy smell is because a girl is on her period and apparently she hasn't changed her product often enough for whatever reason. Maybe she doesn't have the money to afford more period products. Maybe she just doesn't understand her body. Nobody ever taught her, whatever, right? For whatever reason, she has not changed her product on a regular enough basis, right? That's where that fishy scent comes from. And maybe there's other stuff that fishy scent comes from. Maybe, you know, maybe it's like a infection or something. I don't know. But that's what happened the one time that I was smelling like that, right? But anyway, my point is this, okay? Vaginas are complicated. I'm going to tell you right now, being a girl, like an actual girl, is really hard. Like, actually learning your body is complex, okay? So sometimes shit happens. And, you know, you kind of just like, what? Because I'm telling you, puberty as a girl is kind of horrific. I'm not going to hold you. It really is. Anyway, I'm telling this story for a reason, okay? The biggest joke ever was to say a girl smelled like fish, even if she didn't. Like, even if she smelled like roses and perfume, right? If she sat there with her legs slightly open, somebody would be like, ugh, it smells like fish, close your legs. Like, that was the biggest joke ever, right? It wasn't meant to be polite. It was not meant to be nice or anything. It was very degrading. And I can tell you right now that all of the girls who've been girls are not impressed with this term at fucking all. And what I'm not finna do is sit here while somebody who grew up as a nigga and learned to put girls down for being girls sits here and plays in my motherfucking face. You know what I'm saying? Because let's be honest with ourselves. Back in the day, let's go back 10 or 15 years when, you know, you were not yet a girl. You were one of the main ones calling girls fish and it stank and so and so and so, yada, yada, yada. And now you want to sit here and pretend that this term is not offensive. You sitting here using this term to say that somebody looks like a woman, you know, they passing as a woman or whatever. And you want me to sit here and pretend that this term is not rooted in something violent as fuck towards women. Like, why is you playing with me? Be so fucking for real. And this is my thing. This is the thing that I wish more trans women would be open to understanding. Because from my experiences, I've seen trans men are more open to, you know, being honest about this, right? You and I were not raised the same. This is the reality. As soon as a child is born, society begins to shape him or her. If you are born a girl, society begins to shape you into a girl. If you are born a boy, society begins to shape you into a boy, okay? And I'm bringing this up for a reason. We all grew up in different households. Think about the household that you grew up in, right? There may have been something that happened in your household that shaped who you are for the rest of your life. For example, if you grew up in a household where one of your parents was abusive, say your dad used to beat your mom or something, you're more likely to grow up and be abusive because you grew up in a household where that was normal, and like it's just normal to you, right? And I'm bringing this up because, again, the things that we are taught as children stick with us for the rest of our lives. Even in my adult age, I've unpacked a lot of things, but sometimes something will come to my mind and it will be my first reaction. And, I'll tell myself, oh, like that's wrong. That's, clearly that's not what we do anymore. But still, there are things that I was taught as a child that stick with me to this day, right? So for somebody who was born and raised as a boy and navigated society being taught what boys are taught, to hate women and put us down and treat us horribly, to sit here and pretend that that's not going to stick with them for the rest of their life, it's a joke. Now, of course, I know nobody wakes up in the morning like, how can I get Flower Tower to respect me? I understand that, but I'm going to use this terminology anyway. I would respect you much more if you would be honest with yourself. If you would say, okay, yeah, like, I want to be a woman, I identify as a woman, but I acknowledge that I was raised and socialized as a boy. So there are things that I'm going to have to unpack about being misogynistic. Honestly, I think you would have a much better journey into trans womanhood if you were able to do that. If you were able to actually look at who you really are and unpack it for real, I think you would have a much easier time. But again, that's just my humble opinion, right? What does it help for you to sit here and pretend that you not misogynistic against women as if that's not what you were raised to be for years and years and years, just like any other person who was born a boy? It must be very hard to be raised to hate something and look down on it and then one day end up identifying as it. Like, come on now. Let's not even make it about trans women. Because come on, ladies, we have all met a man who hates women. Honestly, we've met a couple men, a lot of men who hate women. And that's because that's the way society raises them. That's the way society socializes them. They're raised not only to hate women, but also to just look down on us and view us as inferior, right? So can you imagine being raised like that and socialized like that, and then one day identifying as a woman? Can you imagine how much you would hate your goddamn self?